Hello, ladies and gentlemen in the Ninja Nation and at Ninja U. Thank you for joining us today. We have a special idea, a special program. I'm quite excited about it. Let me give you a little bit of the background. As you know, I'm Peter Parnag from Ninja Selling. But one of my dear friends in the whole world started his real estate career with me in Albuquerque. And now, fast forward 19 years, I believe, he's the president of the group, the mothership, the birthplace of Ninja, the laboratory, importantly, where many, if not most of the ideas that we share in Ninja Selling and on Ninja U were born, were created. And I was talking to Brandon Wells. Hi, Brandon, by the way.
Hi.
Last week, right? No, it was last week.
Yep.
Yeah, right before Christmas. And he had called me when we were chatting about word of the year. And then he shared this idea that he shared with the group sales meeting last week. And I was so excited by it, so inspired by it, so moved by it, I asked him if he would share it with the Ninja Nation. And I thought this was just so perfectly timely. It was so relevant. It was so meaningful that I couldn't wait to share it with everybody. And so let's just go right ahead. Brandon, this is Brandon Wells, president of the group. You've seen him multiple times before on interviews because he's like one of the giant wells of cool information, and his last name is Wells, so it's perfect. So Brandon, tell us what you did, what the idea was, and share it. I'm just excited.
Well, first, thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you for a meaningful journey of 18 years, I believe, is how long you definitely helped me get into this industry and where I'm at today. And so, we were having a discussion, and one of the things that I think for so many people is that this year has been hard for all of us. There has been ebbs and flows of great times, of good times, and really some down times. And I think for a lot of people, I've heard so many people say, I can't wait to get to the end, just be done with 2020. But I think we need to pause and be a little bit more introspective and a little bit more reflective of what great things did come out of this year. And so I was journaling and trying to come up with some content for what did I really want to put a bow on 2020 with, my partners here at the group, and how could I propel them forward with some value going into 2021. And so the idea and the framework with what I came up with is we all had to shift our objectives. We had to shift what it was we did on a daily basis, things that we were so routine and normal around. And it shocked all of us, frankly. But out of that, many of us found things or experiences that maybe we revisited a past hobby. Maybe we learned something new. Maybe we explored some new frontiers of growth for ourselves, or just things or time with meaningful people. And so the first thing that I had our partners do was to list out the 5 things or experiences that they had this year that brought them the most joy, happiness, and fulfillment.
So step 1, and you had them write it down, right?
Write it down,
So
yeah.
if you're watching this, grab a piece of paper, because I think this is so good. And so first is...
Yeah, so the first thing is basically on your piece of paper, 5, tick out 5 items, and you want to list things or experiences, not people yet, but things or experiences that brought you the most joy, happiness, or fulfillment in 2020. And so I'll share, mine, hiking 14ers. Yeah. I had so much joy hiking some of Colorado's most beautiful 14ers this summer because I really reconnected with the outdoors. Fly fishing was another one for me, just being out there in nature alone, working on a craft on something that, it brought peace of mind to me. Mm-hmm. And so those are a couple of examples. And so whatever it was for the people at home, I'd pause the video and I would list these out. And I wouldn't just, once you're done listing them out, list the characteristics of what was so meaningful and what was so joyous about that experience or that thing.
75 hard. I would never have done it if I didn't have 75 non-working days where I had control of the time. When you said that just now, it's like, yeah, and that was really meaningful.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I think we all have those things, and I think obviously what's happening is we're shifting the mind a little bit more to the good, the positive that came out of this year and this experience, and things that we need to reflect on.
I got to share one. Both Brandon and I got COVID.
We did get
We
COVID.
did, and we're both here to tell the story. And so, interestingly, one of the things that, so many people are afraid of, rightfully so, was what will it be like? And I remember the night I was pretty sure I had it, and the next, I was like, I'll go get tested tomorrow. I was like, well, one of four things is going to happen. I'm going to die. I'm going to get really sick and not die. I'll get really sick and not have to go to the hospital, or it'll be a mild case. Mm-hmm. And that was the moment I said, and I have no control over it. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yep, and I think for a lot of people on the onset, if you reflect back to March, we were faced with this really critical moment of looking at our own health and wellness through a lens of, wow, maybe for a lot of people it shifted or created an experience or things that they now picked up a running routine, or they're exercising at home in their home gym. I don't know what it is, but I think those type of opportunities of what lessons or things that we learned and experienced that did bring some fulfillment to us is really important for people to
write
analyze.
it out, what the experience was and what the characteristics specifically were that made it powerful for you.
Yep.
Step one.
Absolutely. Step one. That should take about 5 to 10 minutes, and just close your eyes, think back through it, and reflect on those items.
Okay.
Step 2 of the process is to list out the 5 people who were the most important or the most valuable to you and your really survival through 2020. And there's people that we have come across, in our day-to-day life that were pivotal in our helping us get through whatever the challenges. We all face challenges. Some, everybody faced them, some larger, some smaller, but everybody had their challenges. And there were people out there that played a really important role because they served as a guiding light for some of us. They helped us get through our difficult times. And I think so quickly we'll jump through and just lose sight of how meaningful that was. So again, take out your piece of paper, 5 people that really were transformational or poured so much value into you and your well-being. It might be your spouse, it might be a friend, it might be somebody you wouldn't have expected. It might be your coach or your broker,
or even
manager,
a child
or your
been
children.
There for you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I want you to do with that list also is to list out the characteristics or values that person embodied. So if it was somebody that helped you through a really dark time this year, you were really uncertain or your business wasn't going well, and they were there for you, I want you to list out the values. Well, they were supportive.
Give me an example.
They were supportive. They were loving. They were positive. They would listen. They were charismatic. And so list those words out below that person. So do your 5, should take about 5 to 10 minutes. And I really want you to reflect on those values. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to pick up the phone, or we're going to, if it's safe, when the time is right, but I would encourage you to pick up the phone and do this voice to voice. And that is, call those people and share with them why they were so meaningful and what the characteristics and values they provided to you. I want you to reiterate them to them. And so essentially, many times we just pass by, we glaze over, and we never really share with the people that are so important to us what it is that they gave to us. And really, they may not even see the values in themselves that they had poured into you. And so really, this is about filling somebody else's bucket. It's about letting them know that you made a difference in my life. You helped me. You were a support system for me. They may not have even realized it. It could be as simple as one word that they said to you that changed your outlook or your trajectory. And watch what happens when the love that exudes when you share that with those people.
It comes up for me over and over again. I, of course, live my life looking through the lens of Ninja because that's what I do. But the law of authenticity from the Go-Giver, which, oh wait, it's right here. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. And so people offered themselves, probably unconsciously or unintentionally, that really did impact you. And the beauty is sharing back to them that they made a difference. We take that reciprocity piece for granted. What a great idea.
Yep.
And so obviously you've done this. How does it feel for both parties when you pick up the phone?
Oh, it's incredible because, I mean, for me, the calls I got to make, I honestly was crying through some of the calls because it was so important to me when I was reflecting back to think about how pivotal and important those people were to my life and my well-being, to be able to share that to them, I think it meant more to me, but I know as a byproduct, I got to fill their bucket. And it was about being truthful. It was about being authentic and sharing something that many times, we just don't touch. We don't go underneath the surface there. And the calls that I received, I had many of my partners call me and say things about, the support that we gave or, the positive messages that we gave week in and week out. That meant a lot to me because it made it feel like the work that I was doing mattered, and that it was resonating with people, and I was connecting, and I was helping in some meaningful way. And to me, that's what I think we all want as human beings, is to know that the work that we're doing is helping and providing value to somebody.
To be seen and to be heard.
Absolutely.
The thing that I think is really profound is taking that meditative moment and really digging under the specific attributes that person shared or made it valuable, really puts a layer on this rather than, hey, I just wanted you to know I appreciate you so much, which is great, but the lining out of the specifics. You were compassionate. You listened over and over if I repeated myself, and you didn't get mad at me, and you were patient with me, and you were supportive, but you didn't always just say, well, you know what you need to do. Whatever those layers, I think that's really profound. That's really profound.
Well, and I think, just think about somebody on the other end, the receiving end of this, that maybe sometime in their life they had somebody that said, you really aren't caring. You're not really loving. And to have somebody call, and maybe they've got some self-talk or some things around that item, that to have somebody call and lay out the values of what it was that person embodied, you may have just made somebody's day, and you may have helped repair some things from the past of, I am supportive, and I'm grateful that somebody recognized that I am positive, I am loving, or whatever it is for you. And I think that's where, if you just pick up the phone and say, you were really important to me, that's great, but I think it goes to a much deeper level when you go, you know what, you were instrumental in my survival and my well-being, and through your care, through your positivity, through your charisma, through just your love and support.
Patience, all those words.
Those words, exactly. And, I think that's really important. And so that's really the two-part framework, but there is a third part here.
Okay.
And that third part here is to look at all of those values that your friends and your support network embody. And there's a reflection moment for each of us to say, you know what? I think I would like to be more caring. I would like to embody that characteristic that person gave to me. And so there's some self-reflection here that can occur as we get closer to 2021 here, just about a week away. What do I want to work on? What area of me am I growing towards to become a better person? What is around me and what is embodied around me, resources and people that I can learn and grow from? And I think that's the important third element to this, is to look at those characteristics and figure out, you know what? That was so meaningful to me. I want to be better in my life about providing that love or that care or that patience or that support. Whatever those values are, they're really up for the listener to determine, but it's really important to understand that there is opportunity for us to reflect and grow from this experience as well.
The segue is almost too good to be true. Part of the conversation, or the conversation that happened last week that sparked this conversation, was you asked me, what's my word of the year? And so I want to just put a bow, our favorite phrase, on the word of the year in relationship to what you just said. To remind us all, a word of the year is an aspiration. It's a piece of your personality, a behavior, a trait that maybe you've been wrestling with, that you've wanted to improve, but you haven't quite gotten it done. At some level, it's an area of focus. And I love the idea of using a trait that you've seen in others that maybe you feel, I don't want to say deficient, but you could improve in, and using that as your aspirational focus for the year to come forward. And I want to put a bow on this bow. Larry in the preface to Ninja Selling Book says, what if you woke up and you realized you were here to create, not to compete? Which I've spent my life competing. It's, if you're familiar with that win-lose idea of market share, even winning or losing a listing, I played a win-lose game for a long time until I read The Infinite Game, until I was introduced to Larry. So I thought, great word of 2021 is create. But then I started to watch all these people kind of talk about, wait a second, I need morning routine. And I realized I've gotten lazy, my morning routine. So I decided to do every day. And as soon as I did that, I got scared to death. I wrote it this morning in the piece that, what if I fail? And so talk to us. I mean, you've really, you may not know this, but you qualified for the World Half Ironman 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then finished in the top third. Mm-hmm. So you've competed at a global level, at an international level. How do you deal with an aspiration and failure, and don't let the failure get you down, but just wait a second?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I reflect back to Larry, and Larry's taught me so much about fear versus love. When I fear something, I'm typically focused on self, and I'm typically focused on something that's lacking love. So in essence, this idea of we're a constant work in progress, and I think sometimes we. If you're in a win-lose game, we look at goals like I either did it or I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. The true nature is did I move towards and embody that person that I continuously want to become? And if I did that, I won.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. And I think that so many of us, like going to the word of the year, I'll share an example for mine. Mine last year was self-discipline. I feel like by my standards, I failed to live up to my word of the year. Mm-hmm. But it did drive and direct me meaningfully all year long. Even when there was gaps or momentary lapses of not having as great of self-discipline as I should have, that doesn't mean that, just chalk it up, it was lost. No, it means that I'm on this constant journey called life where I know what those values are and know those things. And so as I move into 2021, my word is patience. This experience, this world of what I learned in the lessons this year, it was swirled around patience for me. Now, I can almost combine the two into a meaningful journey of values that are important to me, that self-discipline, but patience tie together very nicely. And so I wouldn't just chalk it up and chuck the word from the year before away, but it offers us a reflection point to help grow further moving forward when we go through there. And so I agree with you. Like, I think when you truly learn the essence of it's not about competition.
It's about love. That one just resonated, because if you love yourself, then it isn't about beating yourself up if you don't fail. It's I love myself enough to get back up and try it again.
If you love your customer, if you love the person you're serving and you're doing it with every heartfelt intention to better their experience, their journey, no matter how long or short it is with you, that you're adding value and love into something to them, you win. The metrics or the, who's winning market share or who's doing those things, those are detractors, in my opinion, from purpose. Those are the things that get us caught up grinding, doing things we wouldn't normally do or out of character. But when we're focused on love and value to people, the competition piece takes care of itself, because we live fuller as fuller people, because we will embody those characteristics rather than worrying about competition. Now, I get it. There's places for competition. But when you master self and value and love, competition becomes a lot easier.
It was really great. I did not expect that answer. And it's just the right answer. It's just perfect. the sort of the undercurrent to what you were saying before is I believe that most of us live a life based on stories that we tell ourselves or about the way things are. Most important thing, they're stories. They're not truth. And there's a ton of books on them. Byron Katie is one of my favorite, Loving What Is. She has this belief that we all act out stories we've been told about ourselves, about our inadequacy, about our not good enough, about, I'm such a loser. And that's just a story. And every time you feel something, you repeat the story. But your idea, and I think this is the combination of what you were talking about when you call somebody else up and tell them something, maybe it changes their story permanently for the better, which is a gigantic transformational gift of love.
Yep.
I don't know if there's much more to be said. We could put a lot more words here, but I think we've captured the essence. So, three-phase exercise. Please do it. Rewind and listen to this. Please choose your word of the year. If you're watching this and you haven't, or if you just did, put it in the comment sections below the video. Frankly, I'm enjoying hearing what everybody is saying. It's just, people are doing great introspective work. And then finally, thanks for being a part of the Ninja Nation. I have this really core belief we are making a difference out there collectively. There are 50 or 60,000 of us on this path. And, it's a ripple. And so thank you very much. Brandon, thank you for a brilliant inspiration. We already started talking about it at dinner and everybody was like, oh, that's a great idea. And you've already moved the checkers in our family.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity to share, and thanks to the Ninja Nation for all that you've done collectively for each other. I think this is a network of people that are trying to be better, to do things better, to build lasting relationships, and I think it's raising the tides of the industry. And so I commend each and every one of you out there that is putting in the hard work, and thanks for the opportunity, Peter.
Awesome. Have a fantastic New Year. We won't probably see you until after the New Year, but hopefully this will inspire this week for a little more introspection. I did want to close with one thing. If you're interested in values, Brene Brown, if you're familiar with BreneBrown.com, she has a worksheet on there of 140 emotional values, and she has a whole exercise around it. But if you'd like to see a really expanded and thinly sliced examination of how many values that you were talking about are available, that might be inspirational as well. So go to BreneBrown.com, and it's in some of her downloads. I think you might enjoy it. All right, take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.